what I wanted to talk about here is these are the teams, from an FPL perspective, in my view, that we've got to focus on. Because not only have most of them, and we'll talk about Leicester in a second, but most of them have got the form. They've got the fixtures, one or two red ones in there, but there's a lot of blue ones, so the fixtures don't look too bad as well. So I can foresee these teams picking up a lot of points between now and the end of the season. I can foresee it being pretty close, to be honest with you. And as I said at the beginning of the stream, the teams that are battling it out at the bottom feel like no-goes right now for us in FPL, because none of them are playing that well. Even Brighton have got 4 points out of 6, and they kind of got themselves a little bit away from trouble, but their fixtures look tricky, I think, and I'm not sure if I'd want to invest in them. So here is where we as FPL managers should be putting our attention. Here's where the value is going to come. So I want to talk about players from each of these teams. So let's go through them then. So Leicester, right now, not in great form.
No.
The creativity seems to have disappeared around Vardy.
Yep.
I notice if you look at the league, their goal difference is actually 30, which is the best that's up there. So that tells you how fantastic they were pre-coronavirus.
Well, Vardy was fantastic up to Christmas.
Vardy was just smashing it, and Madison was banging them in, and even the likes of Perez would pop up every now and again. Soyuncu would get some Chilwell, etc. chipping in, but coming back from the break, they've lost all that momentum, and it feels like it's difficult for them to get back up and running out of the FA Cup to Chelsea today as well. So what happens now? Crystal Palace at home, Arsenal away, Bournemouth away, Sheffield United, Spurs and Man United. Not the easiest fixtures up there by a long shot. No. So how are you feeling about FPL assets in your team? Do you have any Leicester FPL assets right now?
Yeah, I have Justin.
Oh, you have Justin as a fullback. Okay, so reasonable value there.
Value, yeah.
What about those midfielders though, and of course Jamie Vardy, who was so popular at the beginning of the season?
No.
How are you feeling about him?
No, I'm not interested.
Palace home next. Come on, it's a good fixture, right?
Yes, on paper it is a good fixture, but Palace has started the season better than Leicester, in my humble opinion. I think that Leicester should be. They should be There should be a great place to look for FPL assets, but I'm looking at Vardy and thinking there is zero form from you. There seems to be zero, as you've just said, creativity coming towards you, which means that he is becoming increasing. Well, not even becoming, because he was before the break. He is just increasingly isolated.
Yeah.
Up top. And that is not how Vardy works. Vardy is not that sort of player that's going to be happy. He's not like Harry Kane, who will drop back and get involved in the play. Vardy's just not like that. He just hangs about on his own up the top, right, looking at.
That's worked for him for 10 years. What's changed?
It works for him if there's somebody that's looking to give him the ball, and the problem is that the midfield seems to have lost its connection to him.
Yeah.
And I don't quite know what's caused that, because as you say,
they missed Maddison today.
Well, they did, but I mean, Maddison has been playing, so it's very difficult to know what's caused this disconnection between Vardy and the midfield. Whether it was the injury. Whether Vardy's injury and the baby and everything else that was going off just left him a bit. Whether they just learnt to play without him and then it's the change back to playing with him, possibly. But he is their talisman, and you would expect that they would be able to play with him better than they are.
Okay, all right, let's get a few comments from you guys. Let's see. Matt Henley, thank you, Matt, for the comment. I've still got Vardy. He's boosted me up a lot when I captained him the week after his hat-trick way back when, but Leicester have no creativity at the moment. That is the point, I think, there. I can't put my finger on what exactly it is, but for sure they missed Maddison today, but Vardy's just not getting the service right now. Florian Sandu, hey Florian, he's saying Leicester needs a new striker. The only thing they do is throw the ball in up front. Yeah, there's something about them right now that's really not clicking.
It's isolation.
So a lot of you guys are saying that potentially Nisdale Percy is saying Leicester will drop out the top 4. Given that they had such a lead on the others, it would be a hell of a catastrophic fall from grace if they were to fall out the top 4. Next in that list is Chelsea, though. Now, Chelsea, on the other hand, very much have the momentum. Beat Leicester in the FA Cup today. Look good. Pulisic in particular looks good. Looked like he had a bit of treatment on his calf as he came off today, so keep an eye on that one, FPL managers, because he, for me, looks like the one to have. And with the fixtures that Chelsea have got coming up, Watford, Palace and Sheffield United away. Neither of those are easy games, by the way, but Norwich at home, then a trip to Anfield. Anything could happen in that game, depending on what Liverpool they're going to come up against. And then Wolves at home. So it's not mega easy for Chelsea, but given that they've got the momentum, I do think they can get points in those last few games, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, this week already we're obviously locked in. I'm intrigued to watch Chelsea against West Ham, because Chelsea, I think I'm right in saying Chelsea haven't won at the London Stadium.
Is that right?
I think that's
wow.
right.
Okay.
And obviously West Ham aren't in good form, but West Ham need the points just as much as Chelsea do. So it'd be interesting to see how that game pans out. Chelsea are 100% the team that I want to bring in ahead of game week 32.
I do.
That is
Home to
how-
Watford. I think I fancy that.
Yeah, that is how I would like to use one of my 2 free transfers going into 32. But it's working out who, because my plan was for Pulisic. That was always the intention, that Pulisic would come in after the Manchester City game. Then it obviously didn't quite happen because, what was I doing? I rolled transfer for this week, just so I had 2 for next week. So it made sense for it to be the West Ham game, to be after the West Ham game for that nice run that they've got, that he came in. But now, obviously, with the injury potentially, we need to wait and see how that goes.
Yeah.
See how Chelsea play against West Ham in midweek, and then make a decision on which player it is, because there are, in my opinion, a wealth of options at Chelsea, all of which could be good FPL bets, but it's working out who's going to get the minutes, who's going to get the most points over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks.
Okay, all right. For me, Chelsea look as if they've got the form, got the reasonable fixtures. Brian Springer, thank you for the comment, Brian. He's saying, yeah, Pulisic looks the real deal. Form and fixtures looks good to me. Benny Blanco is saying, with Pulisic potentially injured, though, is Giroud a solid differential pick versus Watford at home? Let's see, SUPERCHAT Roy is saying Mason Mount is lacking a bit of accuracy right now. What about Pulisic? Aman Chima is saying, I feel Chelsea assets are too unpredictable for a consistent return. Pulisic looks good, but it's now flagged, so we might skip them. So is getting in on Chelsea before Watford at home a bit like and briefly, pick one and stick with it? Just go with it for the rest of the season?
I don't think it needs to be with Chelsea. I think you can switch about because of the price bracket. I think you can swap between them.
Okay. If you had to choose one, Giroud or Abraham up front? That's a bit more difficult to nail your colours to the flag, isn't it?
That I would avoid.
Yeah, that's tricky. All right, well, Chelsea, I think, absolutely investable. And they've got the form and the momentum.
Let's also just very quickly, let's not forget the defenders, because Azpilicueta also looks like a good pick.
Yes, he does, yeah, and I think I would prefer him on that side. Although you've got Reece James coming back in. Reece James got the start in the FA Cup today. Although what I will say is that often when Frank plays Reece James ahead of Azpilicueta, he moves Azpilicueta to the left in place of Alonso. So it feels like he always wants to find space for Azpilicueta somewhere in that side. And because he's, I guess, club captain, then that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So I agree with you. If I was going to punt on anybody at the back, I think it would be Dave. Yes, it would be Dave. Another team with fantastic form right now, as we mentioned before, clean sheets ahoy at Molineux and whenever on the road, frankly. Wolves very, very difficult to score against. The fixtures look like this going forward. They're on 52 points, so they are 2 points behind Chelsea, 3 behind Leicester. But they have Arsenal, Sheffield United, Everton, Burnley, Palace, and then, Sam, on the final day of the season, away at Stamford Bridge, Wolves versus Chelsea on the final day, which could be a real fantastic game. How are we feeling about those fixtures for Wolves? Mixed bag, some difficult away games in there, but some very winnable away games.
My opinion, Wolves are in the top 4 by the end of game week 32.
Ooh, okay.
I think Leicester will lose to Crystal Palace, and I think Wolves will beat Arsenal.
Wow, okay. So here's one of the questions I wanted to ask you in terms of triple ups on any of these teams. Wolves, triple up, yes or no?
Absolutely no.
I think so.
100 and every percent.
Okay.
If you've only got one, why? If you've only got 2, like I have, get a third.
So here's the question then. So yes for the triple up on Wolves. Tell me the pool of players to pick from and then tell me who you're going to pick.
All right, so it's Jimenez up top.
I think
you
can have, right?
Oh, yeah.
No one else. Go with him.
So you can have Jota if you want. If you want another cheap third, but I think there are better cheap thirds. And we've already talked about the other cheap thirds, the likes of Nketiah.
Trust me, I've been there recently with Jota. It ain't pretty. He comes off on 59 or 61 minutes. He's so frustrating. And whenever he comes off, it feels like Espirito Santo. He's a hard worker, right, Jota? What it feels to me is if Espirito Santo does is he gets Jota to run him ragged and then he puts on his secret weapon Traoré and they win the game.
Yeah. That's
how it feels. I don't go there with Jota. He's definitely not worth... Jimenez is worth more. He's worth the extra.
I 100%
Definitely
agree with you. But, there is potential there. But I think for me, the value comes... There's options in the midfield. Basically, it's Traoré, really. I mean, Moutinho's there as well, and I like Moutinho. I think he's a fantastic player, but Traoré, even with 30 minutes, looks like just being a great FPL asset.
Beast,
There's
isn't he?
Neto as well, who, when he comes on, looks phenomenal. But again, like Traoré, only seems to get bits of games.
Do you think these players, though, Neto and Adama Traoré in particular, are coming on when teams are knackered 30 minutes to go?
Yeah, maybe.
As we get into the fixtures, teams are going to start getting less knackered, aren't they, towards the end of 90 minutes? They're going to start finding a bit of match fitness.
Yes. Are they, though? They should, but are they? Because these guys, it's not like a normal season when they're all knackered at the beginning and then they get a week in between.
Maybe.
This time they've got 3 days in between.
So who are you going as your 3 for Wolves then?
For me, I think it's Jimenez and then 2 at the back. So it's then the choice is who do you go with the 2 at the back? Doherty and Jimenez, absolutely essential FPL fodder. You cannot not have those guys. They
Don't
just
forget you can save a bit of money by going Saiss or Bolly over Doherty.
I think you save a bit of money on your 3rd by going for one of those guys.
Okay, all right.
But I think for me it's those 2. But then, so there's Saez and there's Bolly who look fantastic. And we should put Johnny in there after this week's performance.
Yes, very much so.
So Saez, Bolly and Johnny, who all look like brilliant 3rd choices. And the thing I like about the double Wolves defence is that if they do have a tricky fixture, for example, that final game of the season, for me, I'll be free hitting that week anyway, so who cares if I've got the double Chelsea defence? But equally, if you've not got your free hit left, you can bench them because you can still play Doherty and you can bench them. But I think mine is likely to be a goalkeeper option, and I'm going to go Patricio as a set and forget.
Okay. As he is saying, Sam, you once loved Moutinho. What's happened to
Moutinho? I love
him.
I absolutely adore Moutinho, and I think he's a fantastic player. But I think what we're seeing in these closing games of the season is that there are better Wolves options at the moment than Moutinho.
Okay, Hamza Siddiqui is saying Doherty's too much.
No!
Okay. Oh, interesting, Hamza, interesting. Matt Henley, I've got Traore, but I'm getting rid. Quality player, but the minutes are an issue.
They are an issue. That's why I ended up with St Maximan.
Interesting. And Abdullah Mohammed is again saying Jota is out for me. He is the weak link in Wolves. Yeah, I don't know if I call him the weak link, but from an FPL perspective, he's very frustrating to own.
I think, am I right in saying that you got him on the basis that it was easier to fund him than Jimenez, but actually what you found out is that it's worth spending the extra on Jimenez.
Yeah, and also they were both in equally good form coming up to the break. Now what we've learned, and we've seen it before, is that Jota takes time to get back into his stride, whereas Jimenez is a quality play, just goes, doesn't he? So coming back from the break, that was a concern for me. And had I gone down the road of, I've got my wild card in my pocket and I'll use the unlimited transfers, I would have found a way to make that switch, but I didn't have my wild card, so I had to not do that.
Yeah.
Next team on this, Manchester United. So for me,
terrifying.
I think they look absolutely sensational at the minute, and they've got the form, they've got the fixtures, and if you look at those fixtures, Bournemouth at home next game week looks absolutely unreal. Then they go to Villa Park, home to Southampton, away at Palace, which arguably is their hardest game left. Home West Ham, away Leicester. So those 2 away games at the end of the season. But I have to say, 49 points. What are they? 5 points behind Chelsea. Can they? That's a big gap to make up. Even with those fixtures, can Manchester United make up those 5 points? Have they left it too late to make that gap?
Do you know what I think is going to happen here?
Go on.
I think they're going to get 5th and take it from City.
I hadn't even thought of that. That could absolutely happen.
That's what I think is going to happen. I think
Could
they're going to end up
absolutely
5th,
happen,
and the governors at UEFA are going to go, you're out. Man
United in. Oh, Man
it's written
City
in the stars.
fans, Man
it's
United
just
fans.
written in the stars.
Let us know what you think about that.
My
as an
opinion.
Option. Goodness me.
My opinion is Leicester are going to go. Wolves are going to take it, and Man United are going to finish 5th, and Leicester are going to finish 6th or 7th.
Goodness me. Well, listen, they definitely have the fixtures to do it. I'm not going to talk too much about their options because we spoke about it at the beginning of the video. But listen, despite Pogba coming in and maybe having a negative effect on Bruno and them taking it in turns to go forward rather than Bruno being the man to go forward, I still think Bruno's a good option. He's still on set pieces. He's still on penalties. He still is involved with the play, so I don't see him as a bad option at all. If you want to pair him with Rashford, I see that as a good option as well. And then Martial as well. I wouldn't go all 3 in the attack, but 2 of those 3 looks good. And if you want a treble, have a look at Wan-Bissaka and Maguire at the back. I think that's my strategy for Manchester United. And by the way, again, in the same way that I would treble on Wolves, I would treble on Manchester United as well.
I agree.
I absolutely would.
I agree with everything you said.
Azzy, quick super chat from Azzy, thank you. Do you think Doherty is affected when Traore plays? Well, yes, I do, because I think Doherty is encouraged to get forward when Traore is not there, and perhaps he's a bit less so when Traore plays.
Yeah, but I don't think Traore is going to start that many games. He likes to use him as a bit of a super sub at the end of the game.
Feels like it, doesn't it? Feels like it. Either way, both really nice picks, Azzy. Both nice picks. And then, of course, Sam, 7th right now in the league, 45 points, so 4 behind Manchester United. So we're talking about Man United, got the fixtures, got the form, got the momentum. Maybe they've left it a bit too much in terms of the gap. Surely, Sam, Spurs have got too much of a gap to make up here. 45 points against Chelsea in 4th with 54 points. Spurs fixtures like this, Everton at home, Bournemouth away, the London derby in a few weeks. Newcastle away, Leicester home, Crystal Palace away. Mixed bag of fixtures with a big gap to make up. Do you think they can do it?
Do I think we can make Champions League? No.
Okay.
Do I honestly? No.
Yeah.
Do I think
There's a lot to do.
Do I think we can finish 6th? Yes. Do I think we can finish 5th? If it was just about us, yes.
Yeah.
But the fact that Wolves and Manchester United are so good at the moment, and Chelsea are still so good at the moment, no.
Yeah.
I think we'll be 6th. Because I think the other thing is when you look at the Leicester fixtures, you know, we've already just discussed.
Who's going to be 7th then?
Leicester.
Leicester will not be 7th. They are
Who they
10 points ahead of you.
Look who they've got to play. They've got to play
10 points.
Look who they've got to play. They've got to play a load of people that are trying to fight for them. If they lose to us, if they lose to
Leicester will not be 7th.
Well, let's see.
Right. Okay, so a 10-point lead. Oh my days.
Can you see Leicester win at any games? I don't think Leicester win a game till the end of the season.
What are you talking about?
Where are they going to score a goal?
10-point lead. Anyway, Spurs, 45 points, a lot to do. Despite the fixtures and despite the fact you might not make it into the Champions League then,
what?
Still some options, right, players-wise, right?
Oh, yeah. I think there's some brilliant options at Spurs. I'm going to say the unpopular thing, which I keep saying, which is I still think Harry Kane is too much money at the moment for what we're getting from him. I think 1 goal, let's see if he can build on that in game week 31. But I do think there's a wealth of options in the midfield. It is a little bit concerning how many options there are in the midfield at Spurs in terms of picking one. I feel like I'm about to go rogue, though.
Wow. With who?
We've
already got Bergwijn, that's pretty rogue.
I think I'm going to bring in Aurier.
Are you kidding?
No.
Are you kidding?
No.
I was considering bringing in Aurier next week, and
Yeah.
I asked you whether that was a good idea yesterday, and you went, "Are you mad?"
Yeah, I know, and I feel like I've gone mad, but I think I'm going to do it.
Goodness me.
I might
You
not.
know we're in the final throes of FPL, of a season of FPL, when you're considering Aurier.
But the fixtures look nice. They look like there's going to be some clean sheets in there. He does like a rogue attack. Now, I watched him against... Who did we play last? West Ham.
Yeah.
And he was good attacking. I mean, the final ball was shocking, but there is a potential there.
Okay. Taha A is saying it's the wine talking, Sam. Jamie Taylor.
What, the
It's
Aurier
the bubbles
thing?
talking.
What is this, Aurier or Leicester?
I think this is the Leicester, for some reason, Leicester completely falling apart as a football club, I think is what you're
Well, they're
suggesting.
about to go to lockdown anyway again, aren't they?
Leicester going from 3rd to 7th. I think people are saying that the wine's gone to your head. Dan's saying, had enough to drink, Sam. Leicester to finish 6th, Moha is saying. Sagar is just saying, I love drunk Sam. Mogi is saying Spurs to say 7th.
Do you feel a bit hot?
Well, listen, that's because we've had to shut the shutters because of the light in here. But I might open that, and that might be a little bit better. What I didn't tell you was when I put this slide together. What I did do was put my predictions for how I think the league is going to finish.
Oh, now this is why it took so blimmin' long.
This is why it took so long. So
right,
the guys in the live chat have been saying, "What's your prediction, Lee? How do you think it's going to finish?" And you've already said that for some reason Leicester are going to suddenly not become a football team.
I can tell you what I think mine
is. And Spurs are going to be sick. But here are my predictions, guys, for the rest of the season.
I can't read
it. You might not be able to see that, but the guys obviously be able to see it. I'll talk you through it.
Where'd you put Leicester?
Leicester, I think, we'll get. I think they will.
Get 7th.
They haven't got the form. They will struggle, and they won't be 7th. But I do think they'll be 4th. They've got enough points in the bank to finish in that top 4 for me, and they'll be on 66 points. I do think Chelsea have got the momentum and the fixtures, as we mentioned before. Treble ups on Wolves and Man United. I don't think you'd go treble on Chelsea, but I do think, and again, you can't underestimate that points difference. There's 5 points already between Chelsea and Man United, with only 6 games to go. That is a lot. That's a big gap. That is a big gap. So I'm backing Chelsea actually to finish 3rd this season. I do think they will nick it.
That's
I think they'll
Chelsea
nick it.
will be.
I think Chelsea will be 3rd, 67 points. And then I think Leicester and Wolves will finish on the same point, 66. And I think Leicester will have 4th on the basis of their goal
put their
difference.
point scores you think they're going to get?
I did a bit of they'll win this game, that game, lose that game, draw that game.
I love that.
66 points for Leicester. Given that we said before about their goal difference, right? They are plus 30 right now.
Yeah.
So even if they go the rest of the season and lose a couple of games here or there, they still have a far superior goal difference to Wolves, who currently only have 11. So Leicester have got a plus 19 goal difference over Wolves. That gives them an extra point in this race for 4th, doesn't it? Leicester, that goal difference, it's sensational. So I think Leicester will be 4th on goal difference. I think Wolves will be 5th. And I think if Man City don't play in the Champions League next season, I think Wolves will get that spot. I really like your narrative about it not going to Man City and going to Manchester
Written
United.
in the stars.
I've gone for Manchester United in 63 points in 6th. And that's not because I don't think they're investable from an FPL perspective. I absolutely do.
Just
And I love the way that they're playing right now. Just think they've got a bit too much to make up to get to Chelsea and even to get to Wolves. They've got to, somewhere along the line, Wolves have got to slip up. And I don't see Wolves slipping up in the short term.
Nor do I. That's why
they're
Leicester
playing
are gonna
really
be
well.
7th.
So I don't see Leicester being 7-5. And then, of course, I included Spurs in there. I think you'll be on 57 points by the end of the season. And I think you will finish 7th.
That's where Leicester are going to be. Well, I'm telling you, what is going to happen here is that Leicester are going to lose. Who have they got to play, remind me?
Leicester's remaining fixtures: Palace, Arsenal,
Lose.
Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Spurs, Man United.
Right, they lose to Arsenal, they lose to Man United, they lose to Spurs, they lose to Palace.
It could happen, yeah.
And therefore, Man United and Spurs bump them.
Yeah,
and they finish behind us.
Listen, I get in the live chat, guys. Let us know what you think of my predictions. I did this on the back of a fag packet just as I was coming onto the stream.
Who do you think we're going to be 7th?
And you are definitely going to be 7th. If you're not, you might
We'll
be 8th if you're not careful.
Who's going to finish above us?
I don't know. Arsenal might do.
What?
So
I'm outraged.
So there we go. Let's get into the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying about.
They're saying you've gone mental
about my predictions. Otto is saying United 6th. You're kidding me.
Yeah,
You're
see?
showing your bias. Well,
You've gone mental.
listen, guys. Maybe, and definitely United have the form. And the one thing that I haven't considered, of course, is that United have got that game in hand over Wolves as well. They've only played 31, whereas Wolves have, of course, played 32. So. Yes, okay, I'll give you that one. It's going to be close between Wolves and Man United.
Yeah,
no
they'll
doubt
be
about
4th and 5th.
It's going to be close. It's going to be close.
Leicester will be 7th.
Let's see. Mohar is saying Leicester will win 2, draw 1, and lose 3 from the remaining 6 games. I can see Leicester ending up on 62 points and flirting around the 6th and 7th spot.
You see? You see?
Charlie King is in. Wolves don't win games by muchly. So although they're winning and not really smashing teams, and we've seen that in Raul Jimenez's FPL returns, don't we? He loves a 6, 7, 9,
Yeah,
sort of 6, 7, 8, 9 points.
I saw you say on the stats the other day about that, didn't you?
Sam O'Sullivan quite rightly pointed out United have a game in hand. If they win, they're ahead of Wolves. Yes, absolutely. So again, did this a little bit on the fly as I came into the live stream, guys, just to give you a feel for how I think this is going to go. In summary, I think it's absolutely fine if you want to treble up on Wolves. It's absolutely fine if you want to treble up in Manchester United. And the way that I would treble up in both of those is different. I'd go double Wolves at the back with Jimenez.
Yes.
And I'd go double Man United offence with one of the guys at the back, be it Maguire or Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you want to top that up with a couple, maybe 1 or 2 Chelsea players, that's a good thing. Don't think I'd be investing in Leicester right now until I see an upturn of form.
But what about Spurs?
And if you want to chuck a Spurs player in there as a differential, that would be fine. Yeah, and I think if I was going to pick a Spurs player...
Pick one.
No, I don't think I would go for the obvious. I would go as differential as possible. I'd maybe bring in a Bergwijn or I'd bring in a Lamela or somebody like that, right?
Right. Okay, we've got to give 30 seconds because Lee and Lamela...
Turned into a Lamela lover. This is crazy.
I loved it the other night when Lee was like, you know what this game needs? It needs Eric Lamela.
Well, there we go. So that's how I think, guys, the league is going to finish. That's where the race for 4th is going to be won or lost. So get in the comments below if you're watching this video. I'd love to hear who you guys think are going to finish 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or indeed 7th. I'd love to hear what you guys think.